Hey, Margie here. If you're like me and have an issue with clutter, you don't want to miss this episode. Spring is here, and we all want to start spring cleaning because we know how good we'll feel, but sometimes we don't know where to start. Well, today we're going to get answers and a path forward, and I'm very excited about our special guest, Heather Aardema. And Heather is a former clutter-bug turned minimalist and the founder of School of Living Lighter. She's also a national board and functional medicine certified health coach, as well as a certified life coach. And she has helped thousands tackle their clutter, uncomplicate their lives, and lose their excess mental, emotional, and physical weight for good. Her less is more thinking has been featured on wellness platforms like No Sidebar, Minimalism Life, Becoming Minimalist, Optimal Living Daily, and many online health summits, podcasts, and more. And Heather's my friend, and I've known her for quite a while. And I just love the work she does. And I'm really excited because on this talk, we go through tangible steps that we can all do to reduce the clutter and just live a lighter, happier, and healthier life. So lots of great information and action steps we talk about. So stay tuned. Welcome, Heather, to the podcast. I am really, really happy to be with you. This topic is something that's so important for all of us, but personally for me as well. So, a little selfishly, I'm having you here because I can really benefit from what the questions I'm going to ask you today and what we're going to talk about. So, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, Margie, thank you for having me. This is a really powerful topic, so I'm glad that you're doing this.
It was so interesting because it was just this past month. Every month I have a happiness workshop where we get together and we were going through how to manifest things that we want in our life. But first we sort of went through areas that need attention. And I have to tell you, and I had everybody write in chat and what areas. And I would say at least 75, maybe even 80% of the people were writing their home clutter, 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 clutter. It kept coming up. And so I thought, you know what? We all need this. It's so stressful and it's something that people just need the tools because, at least for me, you just don't know where to start. And so, why don't we share? It's spring. And for some reason, we all think of spring cleaning and we all think of decluttering. And, there's different approaches. So, why don't you share with us maybe some of the common approaches? Then we can go into them in more detail.
Absolutely. Well, clutter can really weigh on us. So it's not just physically unattractive, but we can see that clutter and we can feel it inside. And so it definitely is something worth addressing. And so yes, it's spring and I always feel like it's with that fresh air, it gives me energy to tackle my home and to really create a space that feels supportive to me. And so there are some common approaches, and I want to have a caveat though. So often we'll roll up our sleeves and we will just start decluttering, and we'll go about it in a way that isn't really very thoughtful or intentional, and we'll make a mess, and then we'll look around and we'll get overwhelmed, and then we'll just won't know what to do. And so, what I like to recommend is whether you decide you want to declutter over a weekend with a few big bursts, or if you want to do it over a week. And so that would be decluttering really quickly. Or if you want to take the slower approach and just do a little bit every single day, my recommendation is that you first get to the root of your clutter. Why do you have the clutter in the first place? Why are you holding on to these things? And what really matters most to you? And so it's taking a moment to think about what kind of home you want to create, why that's important, and then decide the approach that's going to work for you. So there are so many different paths to creating a more peaceful home. And the most important path is the one that's going to work uniquely for you. We're all different. And so, for example, if somebody has chronic fatigue, I would not recommend deciding to declutter your whole house in one weekend. You are going to be exhausted. So you might want to take a slower approach. But for somebody who has a lot of energy and maybe not very much time, then you might want to decide, okay, this weekend I am doing it and I'm not doing anything else. So those are a few approaches. However, I just want to say it one more time, it is really important to decide before you dive in what you really want at the end of the day.
Okay. So what do you find the reasons? You're saying for each person you have to come to the source. Like what's your reason for having the clutter? So what have you found are some of the most common ones?
Oh, it's such a good question, Margie. And so we will hold on to our clutter for so many different reasons. And so I just got an email today from somebody, and she's a retired teacher. She spent over 30 years teaching, and she has all her materials. And those materials are really special to her, very special. They represent her life, her identity. And she tried to give them away. Nobody wanted them. Heartbreaking. And so she was asking me, what do I do? It's really hard for me to just throw these things away. And so my response is to decide that those materials serve their purpose. They did exactly what they were meant to do, and that they no longer are useful to her, and that it's okay to let them go. And so she can decide to do whatever she wants to do, but she will either be left with all of the materials weighing her down in her home, storing them like a storage unit, or she will learn to let them go. Excuse me. And so that's just one example on why it can be so hard to let things go.
And what about the person this is sort of like me. Well, this is me. It's not that I want clutter, and my house is really clean, and, if you came in, you would think everything's great, but if you open the closets and go other places, that's where the problem lies. That's where the deep clutter is that really needs the time and effort. And so for me, it's more of a time, effort priority that I just am probably doing too many things, and I do wanna practice what I preach, and I do everywhere else except the clutter. To me, ends up being the lowest priority. I'll finish my work, I'll answer emails, I'm helping the world as much as I can, and then I'll get to that when I can get to that. So what do you do with the
You
person
know
like
why that
that?
is? Yes. And you'll get to
Yeah.
it when you get to it, meaning you'll never get to it, right? So decluttering is awkward. It's uncomfortable at first. And so have you ever done this where you take your hands together and you clasp them? So go ahead and do this with me right now. Clasp your hands together. Now pull them apart. Now do it again with the opposite thumb on top. Feels a little weird, doesn't it? That is how decluttering feels. So, of course, we want to do anything else before we declutter. And so, if we can just recognize, okay, in the beginning, it's going to feel a little awkward until I get a few quick wins. Because once we get the quick wins, decluttering can actually become fun. So, if we can recognize it'll feel a little weird at first and still move forward anyway, then there's no job that's too big. And so, it makes sense to me. Of course, you want to do the work that you're doing because there's such a beautiful purpose behind what you're doing. And that's typically why the decluttering comes last.
And
Usually we have to hit a tipping point until we decide to adjust the clutter.
well, in terms of the actual physical time, what do you recommend in terms of looking at your calendar? Because for me, honestly, I need to schedule it in. Otherwise, it won't get done. So what's your suggestion when it comes to, making it a priority and making sure you have a time slot for it?
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't take much. And so again, everybody's situation will be different because the amount of clutter that they perceive will be different from one person to the next. And the level of difficulty is also rooted in perception as well. But I will tell you, Margie, I like to go hit the timer on the stove for 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, I can dramatically change a space. And so maybe it's a kitchen drawer. And if I am setting that timer, 5 minutes, opening up that kitchen drawer, it can go from a junk drawer that is usually like stuffed to the brim and that has everything in it to a space that is calm and orderly and something that will actually just support me so that when I look at it, I will feel good. And so it doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take commitment. And that is what you're getting. And so I like to play off the momentum of the seasons. And since it is spring right now, there is this kind of global commitment to well, I guess in the Northern Hemisphere, towards lightening our homes, lightening our lives. It's something that is baked into who we are. And so the idea of spring cleaning has been with us for decades and decades and decades. And so not only do we do it, but our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, up that line, there was always this idea of let's get the home clean, let go of the things that we no longer need. And so I say, let's play off this season right now and decide that this is something that deserves to be prioritized. And so for you, my friend, I know you've got a lot on your plate. There are a lot of things that you're doing. I would write down a list of everything that you've got going on and then write down why decluttering matters to you. One of the things I do, this is going to sound a little odd, but one of the things I do with some of my clients is I have them write a letter to themselves from their clutter. So it would go something like this. Dear Margie, I am clutter, and this is what I want you to know. And then you give yourself that space and time to write yourself that letter. And then you sign it sincerely, love clutter. And these letters that I have seen from my clients, I even did it for myself. They are so powerful because we get to the root of why we've been holding on to things. And we give ourselves permission to finally start to let go. Because we'll hold on to our things so, so tight because of the stories that we've created around them. And so this letter can actually help you let go.
Okay, and it's interesting because I mean, my closet, I could probably get rid of half the things, and I don't mind getting rid of them. I really don't. It's just taking the time. So I think that's a good idea because if I look at it intellectually, I know, and here I teach happiness, I know clutter equals stress. And there's nothing better because I have done clutter challenges and I have done periods. I've done 24/7 where every day for 7 days I get rid of 24. I've done numerous things and I feel amazing. I mean, it's incredible how good you feel, and my office is very, very clean and no clutter, or even when you go on vacation and there's nothing there, it's this freedom that is just so amazing, and so I really want that in all aspects of my life. So it's just a matter of realizing for me, I think, just getting motivated, but I think that's a good point. Write the letter because that will sort of and, for example, no matter how busy I am in my life, I do all my exercise. It's a non-negotiable. And same thing with, making all my food. All of those things are absolute non-negotiables. I do them regardless of how busy I am. So I sort of need to put this clutter, I think, in the same category and just know that this is going to free me and give me even that extra happiness. So, but my question is, all right, so like you start working on this, what do you do so new clutter doesn't build up and just replace the old clutter?
Oh, see, that is so important what you just said. And so, do you know on average, we have over 300,000 items in our homes here in America? 300,000 items. And so, what often will happen if somebody's taking the slow and steady approach to decluttering? Often, unfortunately, their efforts will get buried under new clutter because new things keep coming into the house because it is so easy to buy things today. You just hit that buy now button and it might even be at your house, a couple hours later. And so what I like to advise is to really get intentional about what you are buying. And so my health is really important to me as well. So I don't support the fast food industry because I know it's not going to serve me and the goals that I have. And so how this relates to clutter is that there is an industry called fast fashion. And instead of 4 seasons a year, I think there are upwards of 14 seasons a year when new cheap clothing is being produced and put into the marketplace. And so instead of buying the cheap clothing that is probably going to end up in a landfill, unfortunately, instead, I get really intentional about the clothes that I bring into my home. And so I like the idea. Have you heard of the idea of less but better? So this
Sure.
is such a, it's quality over quantity, right? And so I'm going to buy fewer things but better things, and I'm going to keep them for a lot longer. And so I decided to kind of cut the cord on that impulse of that buy now button, and I've slowed down my purchases so that I can now maintain my clutter-free house. And so that's what I would recommend, because you're right. You know, if we don't address what's coming in, then we will never get to the bottom of our clutter. And so you want to have an approach to deal with the clutter you have in your house right now. And you also want to make sure you get curious about your shopping habits, and are they serving you and your values? Do you want to put more clutter into this world with, on our planet? Because it's, if you're not going to store it at your house, it's going to go to the dump at some point. Anything that is produced and created today will at some point go to the dump, which is hard to hard to fathom, right?
Yeah, it's interesting when I've been successful, because I have been successful at times. When I have been successful, I always believe, and I teach this as well, it's like you need to celebrate your wins and you really need to make a big deal about anything you accomplish. And do you find that as well when it comes to, we want to get some quick wins and feel good about giving us the momentum? What is there something that you
Yes.
recommend we do? Yeah.
My gosh, I am all about the celebration. All about the celebration. We spend so much of our life with a lot of heavy thoughts that don't feel very good. And so let's just create more of those lighter thoughts and celebrate. And so any win is a win, if you ask me. And one of the ways that I stay upbeat and kind of energized with decluttering is I love to just do little basic things. Like if decluttering feels a little heavy, but you want to do it, and you find that you're procrastinating and you're really adjusting it. Mel Robbins has this wonderful 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just do it. You don't give the brain another option, and you count backwards. And once you hit one, you're going to go declutter the drawer or the closet or whatever it is. And then she also talks about high fiving yourself in the mirror. Anytime you high five somebody, doesn't that feel pretty good? There's
Yeah.
like a nice cascade of chemicals that are going through your body, and it's uplifting and it's fun. And so she also recommends, and I just love this idea, go high five yourself in the mirror before you start decluttering. So it sounds silly, but high five yourself, look at yourself, tell yourself, you've got this. What is it? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, whatever you're going to do, you can do it. And so that energy will help you stay motivated and stay focused.
Yeah, I think that's just so important. When it comes to our bones, there really is a cost to clutter because stress has been shown to reduce the bone building cells and increase the cells that actually destroy our bones. So it's a big issue. It's a very big issue. And I don't think people relate clutter to stress, and that, you know, everyone's doing relaxation techniques and all sorts of things that they understand in the breathing. But I don't think people really see that the clutter can equal stress. What's your thought on that?
Oh, 100. You know how earlier you mentioned going on vacation and how nice it can be? And, imagine you go into a hotel room and it just feels like a really nice hotel room, and it feels really calm and just wonderful. And so compare that to walking into a disaster zone. I mean, think about what's going on inside the body. Absolutely. And so I agree. Our surroundings have a huge impact and influence on how we feel. I know if I walk into my home and I have two boys, and if their socks are in the living room, I can feel it. I perceive clutter. It frustrates me. I can feel my cortisol going through the roof. They don't perceive the clutter in the same way I do, and everybody's going to be different. But there's absolutely an impact, a physical impact that the clutter has on the body for sure.
And what else are the costs of this clutter? There's more costs even in terms of, there's just so many
Oh,
negative things about this clutter.
oh my gosh, time energy, money, so many costs. And so, do you know that we will spend on average 1 year of our lives looking for things?
Wow.
So imagine that you are about to have your last exhale. Can you imagine that you're like, wow, if you had actually dealt with the clutter, you would have, it's crazy. 1 year of our lives we spend looking for things. Uh, have you ever paid a late payment because you lost the bill and or it got put underneath the pile of other paper? And so now you have a late fee. And so clutter costs us our 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 money, it costs us our time, our energy. If the it also costs us our sleep. So there's research, Margie, that says that if you are sleeping in a cluttered room, that will dramatically impact the quality, the depth of the sleep that you get. And so if there are, I guess, like what are the most important places to declutter? I would say you absolutely want a calm sleeping environment. And so you want your countertops to be clear. You don't want anything underneath your bed. You want to be careful just with that it can be a peaceful environment. I think it's also important to have a very calm entry space. So when you walk into your home, it feels light, it feels airy, and it puts you in a good mood. And the kitchen is another great place to make sure that for some reason we have right now three carrot peelers. Isn't that crazy? And I am focused on decluttering all the time. And so I look at those three carrot peelers and I'm like, oh, that makes me feel heavy. I don't want to have so many. And so if we have a lot of repeat items in the kitchen, let those go and you will feel so much lighter. I can tell you two of those carrot peelers are leaving the house today.
That's so
Mhm.
interesting. You're right, though. It does. There is this amazing feeling when you walk into a room and oh, it just feels so good and really puts you in just an open feeling that's really just changed your whole life as well. So I have a question though. What I found, and you're right though, if you're looking for that certain shirt and your closet is not organized, it's going to take so much time. And there's been times that I've actually, been later than I wanted to because I couldn't find something. And I thought, oh, this was only organized. This wouldn't happen. It's so ridiculous. So everything you're saying makes so much sense. And you're getting me excited about starting on this and scheduling it in. But, the other thing about housework, I know there's some research on this, that if you get rid of clutter, you're actually gonna have less housework to do, and I know nobody wants, especially me, who wants to do any additional housework, so explain that to us.
Okay, so I looked up the stat before this call today, and this is crazy, Margie. So if you get rid of your clutter, that will eliminate 40% of your housework. 40% of your housework in the average home. And this is a stat from the National Soap and Detergent Association. And so they went out and did this research. And so can you imagine you would be cutting your cleaning time in almost half if you adjust that clutter. So again, adjust your clutter and it's such a time saver on the back end.
Wow. So share
It's
with
so
yeah.
yeah, it's so much easier. And so just to think about it, if let's say if you're a fan of knickknacks or something like that, and you've got them on a bookshelf, to go and dust that area because we want to dust because dust is clutter in the house as well. That's going to impact our health. That's going to impact our vitality and so forth. And if you have hundreds of knickknacks, it'll take a long time to dust. You're probably not going to dust actually, and no judgment from me whatsoever. But if you have just a few things there, it's so much easier to clean. But also the attention span, the what you focus on, you actually see because when we have hundreds and hundreds of items, we don't really see any of it. And so I have a friend who is a fan of art. I like art too. I love art. Uh, and she's a fan of supporting various artists. And so she has art all over her house. And the thing is, you don't really see any of it. It's really hard to see any of it because there's so much of it. And so she decided that she was going to get curious about rotating the art, bringing some of it down. And she created a much more supportive, calming space. And now you actually get to see what's in rotation and admire it and enjoy it. And so it's really just getting intentional about what is that space that I want? How is it going to support me? And again, what works for one person may not work for the next person. And so somebody could come into my house and say, "Oh, that's such a stark home." I don't think they would because I like flavor and color and things like that. But for me, I just know if there's too much, I can feel it inside and it's just not going to do me any favors.
So what is your personal way to declutter, Heather? What do you do?
So oh, okay. So Margie, I will tell you, I have not always been focused on clutter. So I spent a long time, decades, where I didn't really think intentionally about what I was buying. So I bought a lot of different things. I had a lot of clutter. I always thought that more was more. And and then it hit me a handful of years ago that maybe this clutter really wasn't serving me and that maybe I should reassess how I was showing up in life. And that was a really pivotal move for me. And so I started to declutter. And in the beginning, I got rid of things here and there, but I wasn't really committed. And there wasn't really much of a big difference that I noticed. Then I came upon the minimalism movement, which is not really about restriction or deprivation, but it's just more about being intentional, a beautiful pathway toward intentionality. And I went from this more is more mindset that I had for decades to the less is more mindset and the less but better mindset that I mentioned earlier. And when I did that, I did a few big weekend bursts. I did one on a maternity leave. I did one, a couple years later, and my home dramatically lightened. And I loved it. But I had the energy to do it and I had the focus and my calendar cleared. And I want to say, thank goodness that I did this because about 2 years ago, we discovered we had toxic mold in our house. And I was told that I would need to get rid of anything that could absorb the mold. And the mold is invisible. You can't see it. You would never know that we had this. And if I had not learned how to declutter and learned how to let go of things, that would have been impossible project. And so I ended up getting rid of all my clothes, my books, my journals, my diaries. And I don't wish this on anybody, but I just want everybody to know that it's possible. It's possible to let go of these things. And as long as you kind of work through the thoughts that will hold you back, you can let go and create that life that you want. I knew that if I got rid of everything, Margie, that instead of starting over, I could start fresh. I could have a healthy home and I could become healthy myself from the toxic mold. And so, thank goodness, I had started to get curious about decluttering all those years ago.
Wow, and now you're sharing it with everybody because it's been helping, it's been working, it's been really helping the people you work with.
Yeah, it's absolutely changed my life. I mean, anytime we feel stuck in life, if we just do a little decluttering, the answers will come. It's just it can become a really creative way to problem solve the decluttering.
Yeah, so I'm excited because I'm gonna let you tell everyone what you've created to help people. Because someone like me, honestly, I need that. I mean, I don't know. I think to myself, why can't I do this? And it's not that I can't. I just have to prioritize and do what I do with other things with clutter and realize it really is it's not healthy. It really can affect your health.
Yeah, and
And
it has to
yeah.
become that non-negotiable. Like
Yes.
if you really want to make a change in your home, and I say, why not? Why not create a house that's gonna be supportive and beautiful? Any of us can do that. But if you really want that, you need to commit. And
You really do. It's interesting because I recently won something. I won a reliable pad. And I have no paper. What it is, it's for those who don't know what it is. I won it at a class I went to, and so you can write without paper, and then it goes into your computer. Oh my gosh, just not having paper at my desk is is amazing. I'm like, "Wow, what an easy thing, what an easy tweak that was." And it felt so good. So, but
Ye
Heather, tell us yeah, I'm excited about your class because
Yeah.
you offer assistance. And I know, like, I'm gonna take it because I actually need that extra push and the steps. Okay, so start with this, then go to this, and just
Yeah.
have that roadmap to help me because for some reason on my own, I'm really having I always say I'm gonna do it, but then, the last time I did major, major clutter was I did a clutter challenge at the very beginning of the pandemic, and,
Okay.
that was a while. I mean, obviously, I cleaned things up, but the serious clutter that I need to address. So tell everybody what you've created because I think it's really exciting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, and I will tell you, since the beginning of the pandemic and now, we have bought a lot of things, a lot of things. And I'm talking about people in general because we were always home. And so one of the things we could do was shop. And so many of us are looking around now and saying, my space is more cluttered than ever. And how do I get out of this? What do I do? What can I do? And so, rooted in the experience that I had and the experience in all of my clients, I came up with a course and it's called Less. And so the idea is that you can finally free yourself from clutter. And so less clutter brings more peace, more calm, more of the things that matter most to you. Deal with your clutter and you can create the life that you really want to live. And so it is a self paced course. It is a DIY course. It's rooted in principles of functional medicine. So I'm a functional medicine certified health coach, and functional medicine is all about getting to the root cause of an issue. And so in my course, we get to the root cause of your clutter. I have a workbook, a number of modules that lead you through so that you can identify what is uniquely causing you to pause or come up with excuses and not address the clutter. And so the course is 6 modules. It is self-paced. And I also have live Q&As that I do and coaching calls that I do, as well as a few other bonuses that come with this course. And so I've interviewed guest experts that are leading the way in the minimalism, decluttering, professional organization, and functional medicine world. So those expert interviews are there as well. And I'm really excited about this, Margie. I have an event. It's called Release. It's the Release Retreat. And it's about decluttering your life. And that is coming up as well. And so anybody who invests in this course gets a complimentary ticket to that too. So often with these courses that are DIY, we buy them, but we really don't feel like we've got the assistance, the community, the accountability to move forward. And if that's you, you're not the only one. That happens to so many. And so what I've done intentionally is I've created this course that's so easy to consume. The videos are short. They're short, they're fast, you can get through them because I want you to get decluttering. I don't want you to spend hours and hours and hours on a course. I want you to get what you need so that you can move forward. And so we've got that course, but I've intentionally incorporated these other aspects so that you can ask me questions, any questions you have at any time. And so there are ways to do that in that course and with the bonuses that we have as well.
Wait, so just tell us a little more about the weekend, the release. That sounds so
Oh,
fascinating.
yes, yes. It's
And
not
that's
on the
part of this? That's part of this whole
Yep,
thing?
I'm offering that as part of this because it's gonna be so fun. And it's not on the weekend. So it's an online, it's a digital retreat. It's half day. It goes from 10 a.m. Eastern to 2 p.m. It's happening April 5th, Friday, April 5th. Not, I'm sorry, May.
I
Wrong
was
month.
I was
There we
thinking,
go.
"Wait, how is anyone" I'm thinking to myself, "Wait, wait, 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 this isn't gonna work."
I know I need to look at my notes, right? No, it's Friday, May 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. And in this event, and there will be a recording for those that aren't able to attend. But we are having it's just be very extremely powerful declutter your life experience. And so we've got guest experts, we've got really beautiful journal exercises, it's got a mind body spirit feel to it. It's not going to feel like work. It's going to feel after the event, you'll feel so lifted and so motivated to go dive in to your clutter and really address it once and for all.
Wow, I love that piece because I'm a big person with groups. I
Yes.
even if you're doing it online, the energy of a group, there's just nothing like it when everybody is sort of you just can
It's
feel it and you know you're part of something and it gives you that extra to start doing it. So that sounds fantastic.
well,
Wow.
and Margie will be doing hot seats. I pause. I don't know if I want to call them a hot seat because I don't want people to get nervous, but basically there will be opportunities for people to get coached by me so that whatever is holding them back, whatever is feeling sticky or hard to deal with the clutter, we will work through it together until we can find a solution. And so there's going to be a lot of camaraderie. It's going to be a really fun, uplifting experience. I am so excited for it. Yes.
Oh, wow, this just sounds amazing. So, yeah, I'm excited too because yeah, I'm gonna sign up and see what I can go to because I need this as we've talked about, and,
Margie, you will love it.
you're getting me excited as we continue talking in terms of, just in terms of what's possible. Also, there was something else you had mentioned to me that I think is huge. Another one of my issues, not just the physical clutter, but the email. My kids were like, "Mom, why don't you, like, delete more of your emails? What's going on here?" You wanna just tell us about the special with
Yes.
email? Yeah.
Yes. And so invest in this course, and you will also get an opportunity to attend a workshop with me and a renowned guest expert who specializes in digital clutter. So, email clutter. And so, if anybody's got an inbox that has hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of emails and it has been stressing you out and feeling heavy, this is an event that you will not want to miss. And so, it's complimentary, it's part of the entire program. And so, that one, I will say, I have dealt with my house clutter, my home clutter. I feel very, very good about the shape that my home is in, and it feels so supportive. But Margie, I will tell you, I keep decluttering my emails and they keep coming back. And so I am personally really looking forward to this opportunity. And the guest expert is going to be giving really tangible tools to address that email clutter right then and there.
Yeah, I love that because there must be, I tend to, constantly go through email, but I get so much of it. So I'm sure she has some techniques or he has some techniques that can make a big difference because, yeah, it's just
She
another
does.
thing. We just need to, yeah, and when things are cleared up, it just, as I said, it feels so good. So, yeah, so I'm excited about this. So, why don't you just share? You're also doing a nice thing for the community because I said to Heather that, really there's just so many expenses and, if we're dealing with different situations and we're trying to work on our osteoporosis and we're trying to work on everything else with testing and with there's just so many things going on. So why don't you just
Absolutely.
share what the special deal that you're giving everybody?
Right. I go to the grocery store too, and I've seen the increase in prices, and it can feel really hard. And so I really want to be inclusive and understanding about, how that is impacting us financially. And so the course lasts, it retails on my website for 590, and I had sold it for 300. But for your community, Margie, we are offering it at a massive discount with a discount code HAPPY, and it's only $99. So it is down from 590 all the way down to $99. And now that includes not only the actual self-paced course, but it also includes all those other bonuses that we just talked about. The email decluttering workshop, the declutter your life release retreat, the live Q&As with me, the bonus expert interviews, all of that comes with this course. Now, I also wanted to be very careful. I didn't want to offer too much because I don't want this to come off as clutter in your life. Like there's just so many things you can't get through them. So I've been very intentional about what to put in this package. And it is a powerful, powerful package.
Oh, great. So let's just sum up for everybody listening. So we have this great thing. If you feel you need extra help and it's great. So where would you say? So the other person but for everybody right now, right this minute, they're excited. They realize the clutter. I mean, some people aren't. There are people who are amazing at this. I can't get over when I meet people and I have some in my family who are just amazing. I'm just, I know my daughter-in-law, for one, their closets have the color, my son's ties are color coded. It's just so beautiful, and, it's incredible. I'm always impressed and envious how they have, even when they lived in a one-bedroom apartment, they had it so beautifully organized. So there are people that got this. So that's not
Yes.
me. But so the first thing after our talk, like right now, what would you say so you're thinking of all these different ideas you gave us. And, I think you said the first thing was to really figure out what's beneath it. But is it to write the letter? Like, what would you say would be
Well,
step
I
one
am
now after we've
yeah.
talked and everybody's listening?
I wanna yes, definitely write the letter because then you really figure out what it is that you want, but I also wanna give a little more tactical help as well. And so, once you realize what you want and you've started to declutter, and if you start to stumble a little bit, something that really helps me at the big question, and it's so simple, but it's so powerful. And so, let's say you're holding up a shirt that you've had for years and years and it was expensive, but you rarely wear it. And all you do is you ask yourself this one question. Does this shirt, does it feel light or heavy? If it's light, if it feels light inside, you keep it. But if it feels heavy just a little bit, that is your permission to let it go. So many of us will keep so many clothes in the closet that we never touch. And we think, oh, well, I'll wear them later. Or maybe they don't fit. They don't fit our now bodies. And so that one question, does it feel light or heavy? It really immediately anchors you into what your intuition knows. And it lets go of any of the distractions. Well, maybe I'll wear it again. Well, maybe somebody else will want it. Well, maybe, I used to keep things because I thought, well, maybe my kids will grow into these things at one point. Well, you know what? Styles change, as we mentioned. And I was just holding onto things because I wanted them, not because they wanted them. I said to my kids, do you want these things? They're like, no, mom. Why would I want those things? And so that one question is really helpful. And then one more tool or one more thing to think about is that so often we forget that our things, these tangible items, are absolutely meaningless until we put meaning in them. And so this is why it's so much easier to go to a friend's house and say, oh, I'd get rid of that and that and that and that, because there's no meaning, there's no story. And so know that you can, as you're decluttering, as you're looking at things, you can say, do I like the story I've created around that item? Or is it time for that story to evolve? Can I let go of those things? So if we go back to that school teacher, the retired school teacher with all her materials, I just got that email today. So I really don't know in terms of headspace where she's at right now, but I hope that she can let the story of all her materials evolve so that she can let go of those things because they're no longer serving her today. So those are
God,
two more things that you can do. Ask yourself, is it light or heavy? I mean, you will anchor in to your intuition right away. And then remind yourself things are meaningless until we create meaning.
yeah, I just have
If
to
you
tell you
do
something
like,
funny. When we were moving, this is a long time ago. I mean, I've lived now in this house for, oh gosh, I think 35 years. So I had a box of clothing that said, Margie, pants too tight. How pathetic is that?
it's human. It's human.
I
And
wouldn't
so
throw
many
them
of
out. They didn't fit anymore. I wouldn't even throw them out. I thought, you know what? I may use them if at some point.
and but so we so many of us will do that, but there's so much. I mean, the mental weight of even seeing a box with the words "pants too high, too tight." There's so much judgment in that. There's so much
Yeah.
just meanness and so it's yes, let those things go. Celebrate your now body, whatever it is, and know that you can create that lighter future. You can create that lighter space that will support you, so that you can again at the end of the day is so that you can do the things that you want to do and not be weighed down by all the clutter.
Absolutely, and it's just such a wonderful thing for your health, your happiness, your bones. It's just such a win-win, and this has motivated me, Heather. That's sort of I said selfishly, I wanted to have you on the podcast because I needed that, to get going again. I mean, yes, spring made it, and not finding something the other day sort of hit me like, "You know what? It's time." So So
You've
thank you.
got this, Margie. You've
I
got this.
do.
I
Yes.
believe in you. And you know what? Once you figure exactly what you want, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and do it.
Yeah. No, and I'm coming. I'm gonna come to as much as I can of your class because or do it so I get the tips because, you just don't know what tip is going to resonate with you that's gonna help propel. So, but yeah, I'm gonna do the letter. I think that's a great idea for my clutter. We'll start with that.
It's so powerful. It's beautiful. And frankly, I've got some clients that actually will put it up on their fridge or they'll keep it out as a reminder, kind of as like a compass or a true north on, nope, this is really what I want. Because again, we'll try and distract ourselves and say, well, maybe I like a cluttered desk. Maybe I like a cluttered closet. No,
I'm gonna use
no.
it every week. I write wins to my community in, some of the Facebook groups, so I'm gonna use that. That also will help me, like, each week, what have I done? And just as you said, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Even small things are a big celebration. So
Absolutely. Can I give one more little tip?
yeah,
Here
sure.
it is, the last one. So we've been in my community, we've been doing a challenge right now where we've been focusing on things like, okay, the things we'll keep are the things that either are useful or that we love. And if we have an item that doesn't fit into one of those two categories, that also is permission to let it go. And so that can be a really fun challenge to do. Find 100 things that are either not useful or you don't love. Because at the end of the day, let's just create spaces full of things that we love and that are useful. We will feel so light when we do that.
Oh, that's a great one, Heather. Love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's always fun. Heather and I have known each other for quite a while. And so I always love your energy. I've come to Heather's community and we've done things together. And I always feel like this surge of positivity. And I'm just a big fan of your energy and it always elevates me. So it's always so good to be with you. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing this. And we'll keep in touch. We'll see how I do with everything. So
Margie,
thanks.
thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. And I see your bright light, and you are going to do so well. So well. I believe in you. I know you've got this in you.
Thanks so much again, Heather. Really appreciate it. Wow. If you're like me and do have an issue with clutter, I hope you have some tangible steps now you can put into your life. I know I'm going to start with the letter to clutter and, just get myself started on the path because I know I'm going to feel so good. I'm really excited about Heather's course, and she's offered our community a big discount that includes the little retreat, as well as what sounds so good is cleaning up your email. So I'll have all the links to that in the show notes. And just thank you so much for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.